Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to have a very interesting video. Now, we all know that anything that comes from Hollywood or anything from Amazon or woke stuff is terrible, shouldn't be watched, and honestly should be thrown in the garbage and never seen the light of day again. We have seen them completely ruin, I would say, what's that movie? Any of the new Marvel movies coming out. Multiverse was not that great. It was meh. And we have seen a few of their shows really go downhill. And their latest Resident Evil... Wait, no, they didn't make Resident Evil. No, they didn't. But, as you can see, a lot of the movies are really just going downhill, not doing super hot, making profit of like 200 mil or something. Probably they were expecting a lot more, but they're making profits. But I'm going to start seeing that they're probably not making nearly as much profit, especially when new stuff comes out. Well, we all know that the new Lord of the Rings thing is coming. We all know it's going to be hot garbage. We knew it was going to be hot garbage before it was going to be released. And they're going to try to just start, not start blaming the fans or discrediting the fans. Because, the fans don't really know what they're talking about. There's something about, removing your customer base, which is not really the greatest idea on the planet to do for business. Normally you want to stay apolitical and try to do what your customers want, so that way, you kind of get the best for your buck. But, if you want to ignore your customers and, not do what they want and put woke BS into it, by all means, please hemorrhage and not cease to exist. Actually, I would prefer that because I really don't want no more of this stuff. I want good stuff. I want, fan-made stuff like the Astralis trailer for the Warhammer to be released. Now, that's some good stuff. That was better than probably any Disney movie or anything that's been produced today. Probably better. And any of the fan-made Star Wars stuff, which obviously stays true to the lore. And, lightsabers actually cut people in half. Anywho, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, showrunners address rumors that modern politics will influence the show. So, what they mean by modern politics, they probably don't mean conservative views or, right-leaning views, or any views for that matter. It will probably be left-winging views, first off. And then, let's go with the left-winging views. It's not their own politics in the show. See, they can't make their own politics in the show because they're not created enough to do so. So they have to put in modern politics, which nobody wants to see. Here's a thought process for you idiots. When you bring in politics into things, people most likely don't want to watch. Why? Because when people play games or when they watch a movie, they want to remove themselves from real day life. They don't want to be put into that sector. They were doing it to exit out of reality for a little bit of time and just watch a movie that does not contain any of that. You putting that stuff in does not make people want to watch it because that's the reason why people play video games, and that's not the reason why people play or people watch movies. So, there's that. And people are realizing this, that the majority of this stuff is this very political stuff that nobody wants to see. I don't even want to see right-wing stuff in my movies, or in my video games for that matter. Because I didn't play the video games for that stuff. Now, of course, if you have their own type of a little bit of politics into the movies or whatever, that is their own politics that's within that genre, within that universe, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Because that's its own universe politics. It's not real world politics. However, if you go to real world politics, nobody really wants to deal with that. But apparently a lot of these companies can't seem to grasp that. Or they just want, or they do know, and they still put that in anyways, which makes them lose money. So, I digress. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, comes loaded with expectations, something the showrunners should know to expect considering the sheer popularity of J.R.R. Tolkien's work. Yeah, and by the looks of the actual comments and the dislike ratio, it doesn't seem like you're going to actually get a lot of money. The same thing with, Netflix making the Yu Yu Hakusho anime remake, or what are they doing for live action? Yeah, that's not going to make them a lot of money either. You think they would probably learn from, the Cowboy Bebop debacle, where they didn't even make it to a month? Yeah, you think they would stop? I guess they're apparently not. And it looks like the same thing with these companies. They're just not going to stop. They're going to keep on moseying along and, keep on hemorrhaging money. But, Hollywood has a lot of money. Hollywood can afford losing millions upon millions of dollars because they have an insane amount of money. Eventually, they will run out. Eventually. In a decade. Maybe. So, it goes on to say, however, one thing that's been brought up numerous times on online forums is that the rumor that modern products will influence the story. That's not the case. This is one of the Tolkien's debate points with C.S. Lewis, his friend and colleague. So the co-showrunner Patrick McKay tells Total Film in the new issue of the magazine, which featured Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power on the cover. It was very important that he was creating was not allegory. He was not commenting on historical events of his time or another time. He was trying to transmit a message that spoke to contemporary politics. He wanted to create a mythos that was timeless and would be apical. That was his word, apical. The applicability across times. Every single choice we made at every turn of making this show has been to be faithful to that inspiration. Not apparently because a majority of people are not liking what you're creating. Because that's what we want as viewers. We don't want to adapt the material in a way that might feel dated. We aspire to being timeless. That's why these books still speak to people so much. Because so much of what's in them has not aged a day. And we aspire to do the same thing. And I think we feel that once people see the show and see what the stories and characters and worlds are in context, they'll feel the same way. No, they're not. They're not. By the way, nobody asked for this, by the way. Nobody asked for this movie. Nobody wanted this. So, yeah. Another talking point regarding the series has been about the expected timeline the series is set across. Rather than having the second age run for thousands of years, the showrunner is working with Tolkien Estate to condense the story, otherwise humans would be dying between episodes. Due to their short lifespans and only elven characters, it would be in every season. A non-linear series was considered, but that McKay explains would have stopped the audience from emotionally investing in the series. Fellow showrunner Payne points out how plenty of real-life historical dramas do the same thing and says that a guiding principle was respect for the spirit and feeling of the Second Age. So, that's what they have. However, we're going to go over to here, and they're going to explain a few things, apparently. Ring of Power's comic trailer makes fan complaints look stupid. The Lord of the Rings Ring of the Power San Diego Comic-Con trailer proves that a lot of the criticism and that the show doesn't make sense. Oh, really now? Really? The Comic-Con trailer offers audiences the best look at Prime Video's Lord of the Rings show and proves how unjustified a lot of the criticism aimed at the upcoming series really is. Less than 2 days after the Rings of Power's first official teaser was released, a new trailer was released at San Diego's Comic-Con, revealing new locations, characters, and potential storylines for Prime Video's Middle-earth show. Despite the exciting previously released teasers and promotional pictures, there was still a portion of the audience who believed the Amazon's The Ring of Power was not being truthful to Tolkien's version, a complaint that the newest of the Rings of Power trailer puts to rest. After the Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy, which by itself was never a one-to-one adaptation of Tolkien's work, it was always going to be difficult for any production to go back to Middle-earth, given how successful and impactful these movies were. You could, but you guys are not talented, so therefore you produce garbage. This was proved by the Hobbit trilogy, which despite also being directed by Peter Jackson, did not come any close to receiving the same acclaim as the original Lord of the Rings films. Now, 10 years after The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey, audiences will get a chance to go back to live-acting Middle-earth and the Lord of the Rings Middle-earth and the Rings of the Power. The Prime Video of Lord of the Rings show will cover Middle-earth's second age thousands of years before the events of Peter Jackson movies. Given how far back the timeline of the Lord of the Rings takes place compared to Frodo's history, it makes sense for the Prime Video show to look relatively different from the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies. However, that did not stop a portion of the audience from criticizing the Rings of Power as not being faithful to Tolkien's novels. But a significant part of those criticisms was not just about the visuals and the story. The Rings of Power has targeted who complains about diverse cast and LGBTQ plus representation, often masked as remarks about the show not being faithful to Tolkien's books. Yeah, because in Lord of the Rings Ring of Power, there is no LGBTQ people. There's also no real black people presented. There isn't. You had to stay close to the actual universe in itself. And when you deviate from that, that's a problem. You do not deviate from the universe that has been set in stone. When you do that, yes, things don't start to make sense. The story goes out of whack, and it ruins everything else. Stay to the story, stay to what is real and aligns. Of course, adapt and make some other things as there as well. Be creative, but don't divert from the actual universe, because it doesn't make sense otherwise. While no production should have to respond or pander to such criticism, the newest of the Rings of Power shows that when it comes to capturing the magic of the Middle Earth, Peter Jackson adapted, the Amazon series has absolutely nailed its mission. Yeah, their own mission and not the audience's, which is a key point there. Whatever actual criticism audience may have about the Rings of Power, not looking for feelings like a part of the Lord of the Rings world, from the movies should now be eased with the Comic-Con trailer, despite the significant timeline differences. The Second Age Middle Earth depicted in the Rings of Power trailer still feels like a spiritual successor to the Peter Jackson films. It's not going to be. Even if the production and creative teams are different, obviously every adaptation will have its own tone, aesthetic, but there's nothing suggesting that the Ring of Power doesn't have potential to be both a great show and a great Lord of the Rings adaptation. It won't be. With a series of teasers, promotional pictures, and an incredible San Diego Comic-Con trailer, Lord of the Rings, The Ring of Power has set the stage for a promising first season. That's a lot of copium on your hand. Despite being technically a prequel to the main story, the possibilities as to where the story can go are endless. It remains to be seen how exactly similar to previous Middle-earth movies, but also how distinct and unique the Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power will be. Well, you say this, but let's go over here. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty good on understanding what dislikes are and what no dislikes are. Well, here we go. This is the Lord of the Rings, the Ring of Power SDC trailer. 3 days ago. Alright? And here we have 68,000 likes. 68K, to be precise. And then 200,000 dislikes. Alright, well that's probably showing that a lot of people are not looking forward to the movie. And are probably in disgust with it. And the comments are pretty much being, exemplified. And now we go over to here, to the Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Q&A live stream from SEC. Now, we have here that is 2.8k dislikes and 8.4k dislikes, with 67,000 views, rounded to 68,000, but I digress. Now, and, by the way, they decided to turn the comments off, which I'm probably going to assume they'll eventually turn the comments off here as well, so, yeah. But they decided to turn the comments off. Yeah, because why wouldn't they? They can't take the criticism because, the criticism really hurts them, because nobody wants to watch their garbage film. Well, we'll see how this does on release. I think it's going to do garbage, personally, and I can't wait to see it fail utterly. I'm not watching it, and I'm pretty sure many other people will not as well. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.